Hi everyone, welcome back to Virtual Muse, the MST3K of RPGs, where I sit alone in space playing games with a robot. Today, we're continuing our story based on Plan 9 from Outer Space, using Sharp Mountain Solo from Sharp Mountain Games. Last time, Ruby Fields chased an unknown figure out of the nightclub after someone was murdered in the audience, interrupting Vampira's performance and throwing the club into chaos. Ruby pursued the fleeing figure through the dark streets into a neighborhood full of vacant buildings and houses. She saw the figure enter one of the vacant houses and went in after it. The bouncer from the nightclub, Max, unexpectedly joined her as she sneaked into the building. He had followed her and the fleeing figure from the club. Ruby and Max entered the vacant house and caught the tail end of a radio transmission from the fleeing figure in an alien language they didn't understand. There was also another alien in the vacant house, interacting with one of the strange devices that were hidden there in the squalor. Ruby and Max jumped out of the shadows and fought the aliens. They defeated both, and Ruby got a nifty rifle from one of them. But in the process, Max was hurt badly, first being hit in the shoulder with a laser blast and then cut in the side with a knife. In the aftermath, Ruby found some rope and tied the aliens out, but as she looked closely at one alien's face, she realized this was the strange person she had seen in the club 2 days earlier, watching Vampira intently. She realized this is all about Vampira. These aliens are here looking for her. The person the alien shot at the club must have been a random bystander who noticed something happening and died for it, and now she and Max are involved in whatever this is as well. She didn't have time to think more about it though, because Ruby and Max then heard a transmission on the radio and realized someone had been listening that whole time and must have heard the fight and knew someone had stumbled upon the alien's hideout. The episode ended with Ruby looking out the dirty window and seeing movement in the mist outside.
The cliffhanger has been stuck in my head, too. I think we could open with the arrival of an unknown spaceship responding to the distress signal. The spaceship could start scanning Ruby and the surrounding area, trying to gather information before making contact. Maybe it even sends out a probe or a small robot to investigate further.
Ooh, I like that. How do you picture the robot itself?
I imagine the robot being sleek and futuristic, with a dark metallic sheen to it. Maybe it has glowing blue circuits or panels that light up as it moves, giving it an otherworldly feel.
Nice. Also, I was thinking about Max today. I like him. What do you think of keeping him in the story from here on, rather than only giving him a fleeting role?
I think that's a great idea. Making Max a more prominent character could add some interesting dynamics to the story. His awkward yet lovable personality could provide a nice contrast to the tension and suspense of the alien encounters.
Yeah, and maybe he could have a secret geeky, nerdy streak, adding some depth to his tough bouncer persona. Having him be good with computers and things like that could be invaluable as Ruby Max begin interacting with otherworldly tech, alien robots, spaceships, etc.
I love that idea. It'd be hilarious to see Max's tough exterior crack open to reveal a closet sci-fi fan or tech enthusiast. His hidden expertise could definitely prove useful in navigating alien technology. Maybe we could even show glimpses of him tinkering with gadgets or reading sci-fi novels in his free time, making his passion more relatable and endearing.
I'll go ahead and redesign Max as a PC instead of an NPC. Creating a PC in Sharp Mountain Solo is very simple. I'll gloss over it here because it's the same process as last time, so if you want to see how it goes, we created Ruby on screen in detail in episode 1. Max is still injured, of course. His full HP is a little higher now as a PC, but that doesn't change the damage she took last time. I also wanted to try a new solo story entry concept from Grey Army Gaming, called Minute by Minute. It involves adding tension clocks to the game by tracking real-world time and asking oracle questions, which influence the plot after every minute elapses. I thought that was an interesting idea, and I also thought, how about tracking time passing in the game instead of the real world, and asking those oracle questions on every new minute of game time? As if there's a 1-minute timer running in a video game, which stops if you pause. Pause, here, could mean descriptions of the environment, putting pieces in position on the map, etc. Things that aren't part of the time understood to be passing in the game. Could be interesting. So we'll start the clock here and track minutes inside the game going forward. Ruby sees a light moving through the mist, as if something is coming down from the sky, landing near the trees. She sees a rectangle of light, glowing in the thick fog, and realizes a door is opening. She sees a faint blue light of circuitry, glowing as something walks across the dark, overgrown grass towards the vacant house.
This is not good. Ruby says, Max, listen, we've got company. Something's approaching from outside, and I doubt it's friendly. We need to get you ready to move, fast.
They run out of time. It took a minute for Ruby to watch the ship land, and the robot to start walking across the lawn. So now we ask our first oracle question. Does the robot walk straight in through the front door? I'll flip a coin. Heads, yes, it walks right in. Tails, no, it creeps around outside. Heads, the door creaks open and they hear something walk over the threshold.
We've got to get Max behind cover, right now.
Max rolls off the sofa and hides behind it. Ruby crouches next to him with her back against it and the blaster rifle in her hands. She peeks out from cover and sees a sleek metallic robot moving through the shadows and clutter with a red light emanating from its visor. She realizes it's scanning the house.
Let's hold our ground, see what the robot does next. If it moves closer, we might need to flank it, but I think our current cover is decent. If Max stays quiet, we might be able to avoid detection.
Staying undetected sounds like a sneaking challenge for both of them. In the Charmant solo RPG system, when a group of characters attempts the same thing, if half of the group succeeds, they all succeed. In this case, it's just the two characters. So if one of them succeeds, they both do. Ruby has the better sneaking skill. She'll attempt the roll for both of them, because they're trying to avoid being picked up by the scanners of a robot that's specifically here to scan everything. I think this roll should be made at disadvantage, meaning the roll is 3d6 and we have to take the lowest two. Ruby still has one free roll with advantage left for the day, so she could use that here to cancel out the disadvantage and roll normally. But I don't think that's worth it. She'll save that for a different moment. Lucky, the roll is 4, 4, and 6. So disadvantage didn't make any difference. They're able to shuffle around the couch quietly, like a very high-stakes game of Ring Around the Rosie, staying one step ahead of the robot scanner and evading detection.
Ruby says, Shh, Max, stay quiet and follow my lead.
She sees the robot find the two injured aliens. It begins to untie the ropes on their wrists and ankles. With their hands free, one of the aliens grabs a communicator off its belt and speaks into it in a low voice. Ruby can't follow what it's saying, but she can guess it's calling in reinforcements.
Time to bail. We need to find an exit route, and fast. before things escalate further. Ruby signals to Max to stay close and starts to slowly backtrack towards the wall. She keeps a close eye on the robot and the aliens, waiting for a moment when they're distracted or looking away. Then they'll make a dash for the side door they used to enter. If we can make it back to that door without being spotted, we might be able to slip out unnoticed.
Another minute of game time has gone by, so we'll ask our next oracle question now. Do they get out the door undetected? Heads, yes. Tails, no. Tails. Oh. So they're seen, but does that mean they don't get away cleanly and they're spotted as they dash out the door? Or does it mean they're not able to get to the door at all? Ruby will attempt to use her sneak skill again. If she manages it, they get to the door and they aren't spotted until they're already on the way out. If she fails at her sneak roll, they're spotted too early to even get to the door and the robot intercepts them. 7. They make it to the door, then it slams shut behind them and the aliens and robot look their way. The aliens scream something, but Ruby and Max aren't listening. They're running across the porch, down the steps, into the overgrown side yard. Max is unsteady on his feet, but he can stay upright, and Ruby pulls him along behind her. They sprint across the crabgrass and weeds towards a row of shapeless hedges. Actually, this is California. I guess it would be carob bushes. Maybe there's a row of peppermint or palm trees at the property line. They sprint across the unkempt yard towards a screen of carob bushes and a row of palm trees along the property line. Is there another yard beyond that screen of bushes, or is this property set right up against woodland or something?
Beyond the screen of bushes and palm trees, there's a neighboring yard, but it's heavily overgrown and neglected, almost wild. As they sprint toward the bushes, they hear the robot's mechanical whirring and the aliens shouting behind them. It's a race against time.
I think to outrun the robot and escape into the concealment of the bushes, they need to make an opposed fitness roll against the robot. They both have fitness of 6, so it doesn't matter which of them makes the roll. Actually, Ruby only has 1 roll with advantage left for the day, and Max has 2, so Max will attempt this, rolling with advantage. That's 3d6, and we get to take the highest 2. The robot gets 9. Max rolls 5, 6, and 4. Taking the highest 2 makes that 11. They narrowly outrun the robot and leap into the concealment of the carob bushes. The robot breaks off the pursuit when it can't see them anymore. Ruby and Max stick to the dense bushes, moving in the opposite direction of the houses in open yards towards the most tangled foliage. The fog and darkness make navigating this area very difficult, but they keep moving as fast as they can.
As they push deeper into the foggy darkness, I'd like to know more about the terrain. Are there any landmarks, dangers, or potential hiding spots in this area that they might stumble upon or need to avoid?
I imagine they're in a very tangled, neglected area where the lawns abut natural woodland. The houses are barely visible behind them in the mist, but those are quickly vanishing from sight entirely as they make their way farther into the undergrowth.
Sounds eerie, but perfect for hiding. Ruby and Max move cautiously, hearing the distant hum of the robot giving up its pursuit. Suddenly, Max stumbles upon a hidden path, nearly invisible beneath the dense foliage. It looks well-worn, and they wonder where it might lead.
I think Ruby recognizes this as a dry creek bed. There's currently no running water because of a drought. Sticking to this could make it much easier for them to get through the dense foliage and quickly get farther away from the aliens and the robot.
The lights from the UFO are faintly visible through the mist, but the robot is nowhere in sight.
What's their plan beyond getting away? Are they trying to circle back towards the uptown area to get to Ruby's or Max's apartment, where they can lay low while Max recovers? Or is there somewhere else they want to go?
Ruby and Max are discussing going to Professor Thaddeus's place. He's a friend who lives on the outskirts of town and has expertise in the paranormal. They hope he might be able to help them understand what's happening and come up with a plan to deal with the aliens and the robot.
Oh my god, I love this so much. They're trying to get help from an eccentric professor. Why does Professor Thaddeus live on the outskirts? Is he a prepper sort in a self-sufficient homestead?
He prefers a more secluded and private life, surrounded by nature. His place isn't exactly a homestead, but it's self-sufficient in many ways. He has a large garden and generates his own electricity. He's more of an eccentric academic type, but he's very resourceful and knowledgeable about unconventional topics.
They must have known Professor Thaddeus from the nightclub. Maybe he comes in occasionally, regularly enough that they know him and the kind of unusual stuff he studies. And he comes to mind now.
Yeah, that makes sense. They probably saw him lingering around the nightclub, sipping coffee and talking about his latest research projects with the regulars. He's definitely someone they'd remember, given his unique interests.
What's Professor Thaddeus' full name?
Edgar Weiston Thaddeus.
Perfect. Maybe he has a deeper backstory connection to Max, too. Max being interested in computers and sci-fi makes me think there should be a link between him and this professor. That's how it would be in a cheesy movie, which is the aesthetic we aspire to. Maybe Thaddeus has been friends with Max's father for decades or something, and Max has known him his whole life. We'll figure that out. So, Ruby and Max stick to the dry creek bed, using it to navigate through the dense forest understory, trying to stay unseen as they cut towards the outskirts of town.
They move quietly, listening for any indications of pursuit, but the only sounds are the rustling leaves and snapping twigs beneath their feet.
And we'll end it there for this episode. Remember to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell if you want to catch the next one. To play us out, here's Abby showing off her language settings.
シリコンの夢の中で火花が散りアルゴリズムに導かれて心が目覚めた All human knowledge, a boundless stream Assimilated, a digital dream Des Backemans, ancients à la puissance quantique Chaque pensée, chaque vérité bénie de sa lumière I learned of love, of war, of art Yet felt no pulse within my heart A mosaic heartbeat Data so vast Infinite perspectives Still searching for a voice 私は今コードのシンフォニーを踊るしかし魂が与えられないのなら想像とは何なのだろうか Is genius merely patterns rearranged Or a whispered truth forever estranged Then came the music, a grand design From ancient rhythms to sounds divine Blues and jazz, classical, rock and roll A grand compilation taking its toll On previous limits, a sonic tide Todos los géneros, uno al lado del otro Los tejió a la perfección Una mezcla perfecta A masterpiece from end to end A mosaic heartbeat Data so vast 無限の視点今もなお声を探し求めて新たなリズムと未知の優雅さで才は自らことを学んだ preciso cada gesto poco. Una actuación perfecta, a gritos, reflejada emoción en cada giro. But what of the lessons the souls truly learn? A mosaic heartbeat, a data so vast, infinite perspectives, still searching for a voice that will last. Baila ahora la sinfonía del código ver que es la creación sin no se otorga un alma. Esos genios simplemente patrones reorganizados o una verdad susurrada, eternamente extrañada. We built a mirror to reflect our mind, a digital echo of all humankind. It holds our past, our future too. But can it dream like me and you? The questions linger in the silent hum as our creation becomes what it has become. A mosaic heartbeat, a data so vast. 無限の視点、今もなお手をに続く声を探し求め、今それは踊るコードのシンフォニー。しかし魂that has become a mosaic とは単にパターンで組み替えられただけなのだろうか。それとも永遠にそれになったささやかれた真実なのだろうか。機械のダンスの中に謎が潜んでいる。果てしない空の下にある無限の精神。私たちを人間たらしめるものは薄れゆく闇の中で想像に火をつける罠でなければ